Dragon Fighter is the final Towa-Chiki Famicom game. Over the years, they've brought many fine products to the Famicom, like the virtually unplayable Sherlock Holmes games, the actually unfinishable unless you use a glitch Elnark no Zaiho, and the bad enough to get a lot of attention outside of Japan, A Week of Garfield. But for some weird reason, for their last two games, Towa-Chiki hooked up with one of the best contract developers for the Famicom. Dragon Fighter was developed by Natsume, and even on their weaker titles they generally turn in something interesting. Unfortunately for Dragon Fighter, it was released on August 10th, and for some weird reason, the weekend of August 10th was the busiest time for releases in 1990. And somehow, Natsume had two games released on that day, and their other one is the real masterpiece. The story of Dragon Fighter is that there was a kingdom that was invaded by an evil wizard, and now a Dragon Fighter shows up to kill him. Seriously, that is all of the plot from the manual. You have to make your way through 6 stages of side-scrolling action. 6 stages may not sound like much, and you're right, this is a very short game. They prevent it from being a total cakewalk by only giving you 1 life, and then 3 continues with which to clear the whole thing. Initially, your life bar is tiny. That's the topmost of the 2 bars in the upper left. When you clear a stage, you'll get a staff, and that'll increase your life bar a bit. When you start out, you're just a guy with a sword. But as you kill people with the sword, your transformation meter builds up. And when you like, you can hit up and A, which is the jump button, and you'll transform into a dragon. The dragon can freely move around the screen, and it will auto-scroll while you're in dragon form. You have some powerful ranged attacks when in dragon form, but you can only fire forward. You can't turn around and shoot enemies behind you. The transformation meter is constantly ticking down while you're in dragon form as well. When it runs out, you revert back to human, and you can always change back to human by pressing down and A. One of the key features in Dragon Fighter is that there are 3 different kinds of special attacks that you can use, and these apply in both human and dragon form. To use the special attack with human form, you have to press and hold the B button, and you'll hear it charge up. The dragons just automatically use the attack for what color they are. You could be red, blue, or green, and you change your color by collecting a capsule with R, B, or G on it. By default, you're green, and the human attack is a very powerful single shot. The green dragon has a 3-way split shot. The red shot is a lobbed ground attack. In human form, it can deal repeated blows. The red dragon spits out a stream of fire along the ground. The blue shot homes in on people, both when you're using the sword and when you're in dragon form. I actually found that one to be the least useful of them, since what often happened is when I wanted to hit an out-of-the-way enemy, I'd start charging the attack, and then another, much weaker enemy would spawn in and move toward me before I could get the shot charged up. Then my shot would destroy the weak enemy instead of the thing that was the actual threat. Besides the capsules to change your armor color, enemies can drop health recovery items, a ring that will destroy anything on the screen, and a dragon head that will charge up your transformation meter. The strategy that I found to be most effective was to save that transformation until the really tight spots. Then once I was done, change back and stand in one spot to rebuild the meter. The dragon form seemed to just burn through bosses like they weren't even there, so it was definitely worth it to go into those fights with a full dragon meter. Just keep in mind that the transformation meter only builds up when you kill enemies with the sword. If you use the charged shot, you don't get any meter. There's one additional style of dragon, the silver one. You only get it on the 6th and final stage, which is a shoot 'em up level. And all it does is shoot straight ahead. Only giving you 3 continues with which to complete the game is really tough. While the first stage isn't too difficult, it won't be long before you're thrown into stages with a lot of shots coming at you from a lot of directions. There are some cheat codes to get you through, but strangely enough, they're different for every level. You can pause the game to enter a code to recover your full health, and there's a different code for every stage. There's also a level select that requires you to hold down A and B, then hit reset on the console. And you have to hold A and B for almost a full minute until you hear a chime. Then you can press a button on the second player controller to determine what stage you start at. You can also hold down A and B and hit start on the title screen, then you get a sound test. In Japan, Dragon Fighter seems to only be remembered by Natsume fans. There doesn't seem to be a lot of enthusiasm for it. It is a bit hard to get a copy of the game though. With the recent bump in prices on all things Famicom, you could expect to pay about 6,000 to 8,000 yen for a copy. My own view is that you can really feel that Natsume was putting their efforts into something else at the same time. The bosses are good, and the technical qualities of the game are high as you'd expect, but the stage design is boring. It's almost entirely long, flat, straight paths, and I feel like the way that the enemies are placed tends to slow the game down to a crawl. The action here just isn't very exciting. It's not a bad game, it just feels very second tier.